we were talking about Walk With Me last year and what a difference the connection that people have lost, and I suppose with COVID, a lot of people that had actually joined me on the walks said, I know that I was a little bit critical about the fact of how important local sport, and in particular, I suppose in Australia, how important football is, not just for people's, I suppose, mental health and well-being and sense of belonging. And I thought, you know what, with the season nearly upon us, and hopefully we're going to get a season of football ahead, but I just thought it'd be great to get, I've got my old mate Grant Smith from Westmeadows, who now I can't believe has got the title of president. I'm just shocked at that. But you couldn't have anyone better at the helm than Smitty, who cares about the Westmeadows Footy Club probably more than any person I know. So a big welcome to Smitty. I know I've got Deb Wiliams, who's in the same mould. I did work with Deb, and Deb's fantastic in her role at Westmeadows. Deb, what's your role nowadays at Westmeadows?
Well, I don't know if I got promoted or demoted, but I'm now the Vice President of Female Operations. So I was secretary for a few years, but now looking after the female program.
But either way, Deb, if I know one thing that happens, that is just a title and you end up doing everything. So that's pretty much on the money, isn't it? Yeah.
We've got a good team now, so hopefully a few more will take on some bits and pieces as well.
No, 100%. I know that everyone's doing their best and everyone's trying to help out. And the other one we've got online as well, I did want to get a cross-section of clubs, and I did play against Glenroy in my juniors because I was from Westmeadows. For the president of Glenroy, big welcome to Murray Nilsson. How you going, mate? We'll just turn your microphone on, Murray.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, very good, Corey. Thank you.
Now, who will I start? I might start with Murray first. I'll do the right thing, and I know I've got two Westmeadows people on here, but I'll do the right thing, and we'll talk to someone from Glenroy Football Club. Now, Murray, I suppose, where do we start? But how important have you seen now, with the benefit of hindsight, that local football clubs are for everyone, not just the players, but the off-field staff, how important it is, or anyone connected with the footy club, how now that you've seen, fingers crossed, we're coming back in.
Look, Corey, football clubs have always played a massive role in local communities. I think that's pretty universal, whichever footy club you're at. And I think it's just been magnified with the disconnection of community basically through the COVID period. And it's a bit of a flip of the coin how each individual club's going to come out of that too. So whilst a lot of people are itching to get back involved, and I think they need to get back involved for exactly what you talk about, their mental health and just reconnection with friends and community, there could be a downside to it as well, where I know I've spoken at length with Smitty about our junior program at the moment, where we're getting a lot of disconnect, and so a group of kids who have spoken to recently, they've sort of taken up other sports, which is disappointing. And I don't think it's good for them long term, because there's individual sports, and I think team sports are just so crucial to a whole range of things down the track for employment. Very important as well. They teach a lot of great life skills, but I think now more than ever, you just see people coming back to the club now, the volunteers, and to be honest with you, it's a little bit funny at the start. They're sort of readjusting after being committed for so many years, and then having that break, and probably realising there's other things to do, which is not good for us. But slowly but surely, you can see the shine come back in them, and interacting with all friends and the community again is definitely a massive positive.
Who would you say, now I know the players, obviously, and I'll put myself, as players, you get to run out in the field, and you always know you've got that bit of camaraderie with the players and the sense of connection. But what did you notice from the off-field staff, that the people not having that that sense of belonging and somewhere to go in the football club when we really needed it the most?
Yeah. Well, you probably have a couple of different areas there, Corey. You got the older volunteers, which is this thing's really shaken them up a little bit. They're very cautious, and they tend to be more people that live either on their own or just with their spouse, and they've been totally isolated. and it's and there's a cross section of some that may not come back because they're just a bit worried still, but also the ones that have come back, it's just like they're getting life breathed back into them as far as being able to socialise again. You know, and especially the older volunteers, they haven't got a network like, I mean, I know we're getting on too, but we've still got a social network around us. A lot of these people are pretty isolated without their footy club. So it's just like initially they sort of walk in, they're a bit dull in the coat, to use a racing term. And you know, a week or two in, they're back up and about. So it's just the general banter. It's nothing specific. It's just interacting with everyone. So it's been massively important.
And what about you, Deb? Like, I know that you're heading up like the women's program, and I suppose the women's program is still a little bit in its infancy, but it's nonetheless, it's still like taking football and having somewhere to go. I mean, how did you see it impact from the female program?
Our numbers were really solid before COVID hit. From a playing point of view, we're not getting those numbers back again in the juniors, so we're going to have to start that process again. Senior women's is pretty solid, which is great. I think from a volunteer point of view, we've always been lucky that we've got a lot of female connectedness through the people that volunteer and support at the club. And what Murray was saying with that older group, one thing that they found difficult is we all kind of flipped into remote practices and online connectedness and things like that. And, you know, this older generation aren't as, look, I'm getting up there as well. I'm not that tech savvy, but I can open a video and jump on and have a conversation. I think a few of our older crew found that difficult, that remote connection that we were trying to keep happening. They found that difficult to jump in on. But yeah, look, from a female point of view, they've jumped on board. They've engaged through social media, TikToks, things like that. When the government allowed us to get out in smaller groups, even not officially from a sporting point of view, we had all players and supporters getting to, at one point, we had people complaining that there were too many people on the oval utilising the space. So, yeah, look, I think that was great being able to get out there and connect like that. But I think our older crew found it difficult being isolated, and obviously some of them have got health conditions, so they are wary about coming back, which is hopefully as these vaccines come through and things start to settle down, they'll be able to reconnect with us again. But yeah, look, one thing I'm worried about, like Murray said, is some players have found other ways to entertain themselves in their sporting arenas, and you know, some of them are from an individual purpose. So yeah, we're looking at how we can rebuild what we'd already had a solid base with, because especially in the juniors, some of those female girls just aren't reconnecting. They've found other ways to entertain themselves.
And what were some of the things, Deb, you mentioned about like being connected? What was some of the things that you were trying to do when lockdown? Like, obviously we ended up creating this Zoom walk on the back of using technology for the good, but what were some of the things that you guys tried to do on a regular basis to make sure that they were connected and they were going okay?
So we got a TikTok channel up. We always had Facebook and Instagram, which was a way we kept the information going out. We ran a TikTok competition, so that got some connection through. We also tried to use the whole connection through technology. We had to think about creatively of how we could generate income. You know, we couldn't run a football club in the traditional way, so whatever we did with generating income, we tried to record and put out live on our social media platforms as well, and then that ended up being a bit of banter back and forwards between people too.
And then, Smitty, I suppose when you talk about now that you've progressed up the ranks and now that you're president and you're at the helm, obviously on the back of what Deb's just said, from the financial point of view, just try and give people an inkling of what COVID does, or what COVID's done in terms of your traditional streams of revenue at the football clubs.
Yeah, look, it's a good question, mate. And I did catch up with Brett Scott yesterday and we discussed this. The traditional model where if you go back what people think footy clubs were, 5 blokes sitting around a keg on a Sunday and throwing money in. And that was the traditional way of raising money. And then it moved into, well, now we need sponsors, big sponsors, $10,000, $20,000 sponsors. We'll give up our jumpers and our shorts and our training tops and all that sort of stuff. And that worked for a while. But then when you look at the impact of the lockdowns and just COVID in general across businesses, they don't have those lumpy sums of cash now to give out. And we've also got to take into consideration that a lot of our playing members who pay memberships to play, they don't have big wads of cash sitting there so they can pay their memberships in one hit. So what we've done is try to convert over to more of a subscription-based model where the memberships are now subscriptions. You pay $17 a month for 20 weeks and $17 a week for 20 weeks, and that covers your membership off rather than try to pay it up front. Same with our sponsorships, talk to the sponsors. Do you want to pay in smaller subscription-based increments? And then we've set up what we call a community membership, where anyone from the community wants to be a part of the club can just contribute anywhere between $10 and $40 a week for different levels of social membership. And so just trying to collect as much or if not more revenue, but taking it in smaller increments from a large group of people. That's the way we've sort of had to manage it going forward.
And is that something that the EDFL this is a problem that's actually going to happen right across suburban footy? I'd imagine Victoria probably has the biggest problem when it comes to this because of the amount that the players, and that's the next part, the players' expectation levels about what they've traditionally been paid to what they're going to get paid now is going to be vastly different, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it is a big problem for us in Victoria where the competitions in a sense do compete on the back of, how much a player can get paid, but that money's just not there. And whether players realise that or not, or they think that the clubs are balking at paying more and using the reduced salary caps that all the leagues have brought in as an excuse, the money's just not there. It's just not. It's a cyclic economy. Footy clubs are a cyclic economy. You put more in and you can get more out of it, but there's not enough coming in for us to then output it in the same way that we used to. And I'm sure Murray's in the same boat as well.
Exactly.
Do you think, and this is a question to all three of you, and I actually probably did think this, COVID's terrible, don't get me wrong, but do you also think that this is maybe a correction in a good way? Because all the players get realistic about, okay, I understand everyone needs to get $1. Like I got $1 out of playing footy. I was lucky enough to play AFL footy, but local footy, it seemed like, as Smitty mentioned, became such an arms race. Are we going to get back to more, hey, you're really playing because, hey, you have to want to enjoy the game?
I'll start off with that. Absolutely, Corey. It's an adjustment that's been well overdue. The problem is not everyone plays by the rules. And that's the biggest bugbear, that unfortunately our salary caps are toothless tigers. Until there's some severe consequences, I mean, it is an adjustment that's been well overdue, and I don't begrudge any player getting a few dollars. That's fine, but it's got to be relative to what the income streams are. And Smitty's hit it right on the head. It's pretty hard to go to your major sponsors 2 weeks after their business opens back up and say, hey, remember us? I mean, you're just like a vulture. You can't do that. You've got to give them time to catch their breath and then, send them an email and say, hey, guys, hope everything's well. We'll touch base in a few weeks. And it's a very delicate situation because they're part of the community too. They're equally as important as the footy club is, and vice versa. They're important to us to survive. But that has been a correction that's been long overdue. It's just a pity it can't be stringently enforced.
What are your thoughts?
I agree 100%. We are seeing through a large chunk of our playing group that they're back for the love of the football, which is great. And hopefully that passion stays with them over time and they don't fall back into bad habits of thinking about the bottom dollar rather than getting out there and playing footy, because we saw this time last year it was just snatched away in the blink of an eye. So, hopefully they appreciate the opportunity they've got and realise the work that goes in to get them out every week from the volunteers at the club, that, sometimes getting out, playing the game and getting a little bit of coin. I'm the same as you. I don't begrudge that being paid. That's what's important, and the connectedness to the community and giving something back as well highlights and overrides that higher dollar amount that has been out there.
Isn't it funny, Deb? And Smitty, I'll let you answer it too.
Yep.
If you had asked any of these players from any league, maybe by about June, July last year, would you play a game of footy for free right now? I'm tipping you would have had an avalanche that would have jumped at it. So isn't it funny if it took something like this to maybe give everyone a bit more perspective and put their hand out and go, remember in the middle of COVID last year, would you have played?
Yeah.
And I 100%. I mean, if you look at the era that we played our footy in, and I know you're at AFL, Corey, and Murray and I were sort of rolling around the local competitions, and Murray was obviously VFL level, VFA level, but it just got out of hand. I mean, we had players coming to us, 5'6" back pockets, wanting $600 a game. Like, where do you think this money comes from? And so the correction you talk about was absolutely needed, because it was getting to a point with us where I would say we had to make a strategic decision as a club to say, look, we just want to be a highly competitive Division 1 football club. We want to provide a community benefit. We want to make sure everyone comes to our footy club, they're safe, they're secure, they can enjoy themselves. We don't have the demographic of people that are necessarily going to go and spend every night in the casino or the rock pool, on $1,000 dinners. The footy club is their source of entertainment, and we have to make sure that that's there for them for the long term. And so, you sort of sit down and you think about, well, if it's going to cost me, whether the salary, as Murray said, whether the salary cap's $100,000 or $50,000, if people are paying $600,000 to win a Division 1 or a Premier Division flag, you kind of just got to sit back and go, well, that's not a game that we can play, or that we even want to play if we had the resources to do it. So you just got to adjust yourself and your expectations as a club to say, well, this is where we're going to be, and this is how we fit into the community, and these are the reasons why we think that's a really good thing to do for society in the local area. So,
and is the league again a question to all three of you? But is the league actually? I'd imagine that there's fees that each individual club has to field teams, but are they coming to you guys and adjusting it accordingly?
I'll let Murray go first, mate.
Yeah. Well,
Murray, I'm hearing crickets. I don't like the sound of this.
They are voicing that sort of opinion, but then you get something like this $10 registration fee that's thrown at you for every single junior and senior player, that everyone, just to register to play in the league, they pay straight to the league, which to me is a bit mind-blowing that it sort of slipped through without much fanfare. But I don't understand that for a start, because all of a sudden you've got to explain, you've come off the back of the year we've come off, and we said we're going to hold all our memberships to what they are for the juniors and all that stuff, because everyone's doing it tough. And then you say, oh, by the way, we sort of half lied because you've got to throw another $10 out. This way it's not our fault. So they are, but then there's other things that they're throwing at us which, don't help.
So, go on, Deb.
I was just going to say, they, on the other side of the coin is they didn't really generate income last year either. But I don't know that the best way forward is by introducing a new fee this year. That we're the ones having to explain to our families, and people might say, well, it's only $10, but we've got young families there that have got 3 or 4 kids, and they've got to pay that straight up before they even get out on the game to come and pay a registration fee to the club. And Murray, I don't know if you remember, but I was in one of the league meetings when it was first mooted about this $10 fee. And I don't believe it's been said since, was that one of the ideas behind it was that they would then not charge for junior finals. But that was about 18 odd months ago, and it's not being spoken about now. So
a lot of things are slipping through because time's gone by, and we've just lost track of everything, to be honest with you. It's fit to revisit things sometimes, because a whole year and a bit's gone by in the blink of an eye, and things have just slipped through the cracks.
Yeah, because to get into finals last year, at the end of 2019, I think an adult into junior finals was $15, kids under 12 for free, and then there was a child for that was like $5. But then to get into that was just for the grand finals, but you had to pay to get into every final that the seniors ran. So they get a bit off the gate as well.
So just so I'm clear, that are you talking about there's a $10 fee for every game of footy that they play?
Now, there's a $10 registration fee, one-off,
Yep.
to register your child with the EDFL that goes straight to
Yep.
the EDFL.
Yep.
So, for example, we've got about 500 players. So times 10, that's $5,000 just from our players to register to get their name on a team sheet to be able to play a game of footy.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think, Corey, from my point of view, I mean, we had the first delegates meeting with the league last night, and they walked through the financials, and as Deb said, you can clearly understand that they've had challenges in revenue and taking a loss in certain things last year. I guess my only comment on this sort of stuff is that if it's necessary to do these sorts of things, I think the level of consultation is probably what most people are expecting. So maybe people don't necessarily oppose a $10 fee if the reason behind it has been explained and alternative options have been sort of suggested, or the clubs have had a say in what sort of things might work for them or might work better than just a one-off $10 fee. So I guess I'm saying I don't begrudge the fact that they might need to find a way to generate some revenue, and this is one option, but there was no discussion or consultation of other alternatives. And that's the sort of part that frustrates me a little bit, is that not every club is in the same position, and I don't think we really heard too much about this until it was already in place.
So look, guys, we've what have we got? We've got about 5 or so minutes to go, and I'm conscious of time, but I wouldn't mind giving all three of you the floor just to say a few words, and probably just, okay, you got the platform to mention. I mean, pretty much you want to get everyone back to the footy club or get sponsors on board, or, I mean, the platform's yours. So if you want to take it away, President, I'll leave it with you, Smitty.
Oh, just quickly, from my point of view, and Murray and I have discussed this, I mean, the role of not just the president at footy clubs, but all the volunteers and administrators has really evolved over the last 10 years. We've got welfare officers now. We're dealing with drugs and alcohol. We're dealing with mental health. We're dealing with domestic violence and child welfare. And the expectation of a football club is not just to open up the door, open up the bar, let some people run out. We've got now the women's program, and we've got to make sure they're okay. Footy clubs have really evolved over the last 10 years, and we're providing a lot more to the community than just a game of football. We are the center of some of these communities, and that's sort of, we need that sort of support from everyone around us to be able to make that a really enjoyable experience.
Yeah, 100%, Smitty. Right on the money. The compliance stuff that's thrown onto clubs now is massive, so we need helpers more than ever, and they've always been hard to find. But I think everyone's a little bit sluggish coming out of the COVID as well. I mean, a bit late getting down, and each and every single club needs every single participant and volunteer to sort of wake out of the slumber a little bit and get moving and get down to the club and get around each other a bit more, and so we can support our communities, as Smitty's just spoken about. And there is a hell of a lot to do, and there's always been a lot to do, but there's more than ever now, and we need our volunteers more than ever. And unfortunately, they're probably rarer than they've ever been. So we just need a bit of call to arms, everyone to get back engaged, the ones that haven't yet, and try to make a little bit many hands make light work sort of situation instead of too much to too few, which has gone on for way too long at footy clubs.
Yeah, I'd say the same, Murray. Just don't wait to be asked. Now more than ever, we just need people to step in and do. Because, most clubs are run by a very small group of people, but as Murray said, many hands make light work. So, if you're down and around, jump in and help out, because it's going to be greatly appreciated.
Very much.
And look, if anyone out there, look, it was I really wanted to get everyone on today because look, as they've mentioned, footy clubs. I remember Stephen Kernahan said this to me once. He said, you know what, you can have the worst day at work in the world, but at least if you walk in the front door of the footy club, that everything's all right. So, and sometimes, not just from a playing point of view, but you can hear from the guys that are talking just by helping out. You know what, it's no different to me probably doing these walks, that I did them to help out. I never knew how good it would be for me personally. I didn't expect anything out of it. And I can only probably say the same, that when you're involved in a footy club, win, lose or draw, they are great places to be around. And as you can see from Murray, Deb and and El Presidente Grant Smith, they are really good places to be around. So big thanks to all you guys, Grant, for taking time out, looking like you got off the runway. And Murray and Deb, a big thank you to you guys, and for everyone. If you want to see not only this walk, but any of the other walks, you can go to walkwithmeonline.com and check them all out. And you guys, if you need a hand with anything, you've got an open invitation from me, whatever you need. So be more than happy to help out in any way, shape or form. So have a great day, guys. And let's hope lots of wins for both of you, not too many for you, Murray.
That hasn't been a problem of late.
No worries, guys. Thanks for your time. See you.
Thanks. See you.
Bye.
Cheers.